Yeah, what did you think of Jordan Love's performance? How he built off of what he did last week.
I thought there was a lot of good, and I know the numbers don't necessarily reflect probably how I feel. I saw a guy that was not only he was making some off-schedule plays, running around. There were a couple times that we weren't great in protection. He stood in the pocket, was throwing on rhythm. I thought the ball he threw to Dobbs, that it was a 20-something yard completion on our sideline. I thought that was a tough read because we ran like a sail type concept, and the outermost receiver really wasn't quite out of the area yet, so it was a cloudy read, and I thought his ability to let it go, and he hit Winfrey on a high cross. He hit a couple high crosses for big explosive gains, and then I thought on the keeper that he threw to Samari down the sidelines. I mean, that ball has to be caught, and unfortunately, we had, again, too many drops. I think I want to say we had at least 5 drops or so on offense.
Matt, the first play of the night, it wasn't a throw, but when he tucks and takes off up the middle and gets 11 yards, how hard is it to teach a young quarterback that internal clock and for them to get that feel of when to hang in, when to get the progressions, when to run, and how far do you think he's come with that?
Yeah, I think he's done a great job with that. That's something that's a fine line in terms of how you coach it. Do you hang in there? Do you? Because they brought pressure on that play, and I couldn't tell. I thought we might have had that inside slant, but I couldn't tell how hard the safety came down over top our slot receiver. But he was decisive, and I think that's the big thing from him. I see a much more decisive player out there, and I think that's going to lead to a much more effective player.
Aaron said on Tuesday that if you can't catch the ball, you're not going to play. Romeo's obviously had his fair share of drops, but is he doing enough good for you that your hand is kind of forced to play him when games start, Kevin?
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. I think Romeo's a guy that we've got a lot of confidence in, and certainly he made some big plays. We mentioned the sail route he caught, and then the fade ball. I thought Jordan threw a nice ball, and he went up and got it. And so, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some lessons along the way, but he's a guy that is pretty resilient. He doesn't get fazed by a negative play, and he just keeps on playing. And so, that's what excites you about him, because you do see a guy that's got really good feet. He's really good in his transition. He's got a burst. He's been able to separate, which is something that, you can't. It's tough to coach if the guys can either do it or they can't. So. There's stuff to clean up for certain, but he's a guy that we are excited about, and we'll see where we are come week 1.
What kind of impression did Goodson make today? What kind of impression has he made in camp in that competition for the third half?
Yeah, no, he's done a nice job. A guy that can stick his foot in the ground, and he's got a burst, and I think that was evident tonight. He made some nice runs, and then also one thing that you see from him quite frequently in practice is he's a guy that's got good hands. And I think a lot of it for our third running back is going to come down to how they do on special teams. And that is an area where the third back has to be able to contribute. And so that's really where the battle lies with all those guys right now.
Hey, Matt, we saw Christian doing some pregame stuff. Do you think he'll have any chance to go next week in the finale?
We'll see. We're going to take it one day at a time. And I feel like a broken record saying that up here, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not a trainer, so when they give us the green light on him, then we'll let him go.
You had 12 players on the field for one special teams play.
I knew you'd bring that up. You're so negative, man.
I tried. I said it with a smile.
Can you start off with one positive question before we get into all the criticisms?
I asked about Jordan Love.
Okay.
You had 10 on another.
Yeah.
What are the clerical issues that are still ongoing with that?
Yeah, well, it is what it is, and that's something we're well aware of, and we'll clean up.
Matt, speaking of negative, the 3rd and 3 throw that Jordan makes to Romeo on the first series down the right sideline, it looks like Romeo gets turned around. Is that, I know you need to look at the tape, but is that the ball not being where it is, or is that a young player not adjusting to the throw? What do you think happened?
Well, we ran a stop route, and it was one-on-one, and he gave him an opportunity, and I don't know what exactly happened. I didn't have a conversation with him, but I definitely was not anticipating how he got turned around on that. That's a ball that you're usually looking over your inside shoulder for, and a lot of times you as a quarterback, you're trying to throw it over his outside shoulder, but it's a catch like this. And I don't know if he lost it, what happened, but obviously we don't want a guy doing, twirly birds out there when they're running routes. I think that makes it a very difficult catch. But, I have to look at the tape.
Have y'all made a decision in the third exhibition game whether Aaron might play at all, or if it's going to be Jordan again?
No, we'll discuss that. I wanted to get through this game and kind of see where we're at, not only just from a health perspective mainly, and then, I definitely want to talk to our vets and see where they think we're at, and then we'll collectively make a decision.
Matt, we've talked a lot about Jordan, but Danny seemed to play pretty well in San Francisco, and obviously tonight he had the run. What have you thought of just kind of what you've gotten out of him here so far?
Yeah, it's so funny because I know he had one of those when he was a rookie, I want to say. Was it 87 yards or whatever? No, I think Danny, first of all, he is just so much fun to be around. He's got a great personality. He fits in well with those guys, with all the guys. And he's a talented guy. He's a very good athlete, although he did have a little stumble at the end. I didn't know if he was going to fall or not. But that was something that, that was not called. But he saw the safety barreling down and closing hard on the runner, and there was nobody else out there. So he just pulled it and went, and it was a hell of a decision by him. So I think Danny's done a lot of good things, and, he's making our decision very, very difficult.
We've seen Jordan come a long way since last year, and obviously when this preseason is done, if everything goes according to plan, you won't see him again, but you might. You saw him last year, obviously, right? So do you feel like there's more confidence, that you've seen enough to be more confident if you should need to fill that backup role for a start or two?
Yeah, I think the game is slowing down for him. I think Tom's done an unbelievable job with him. Connor Lewis is in our room, and he does a great job with them. And then I think Aaron does a hell of a job with them as well. Just always coaching them on every play when we're in that meeting room and giving them little nuggets. And I think Jordan, you got to give him a lot of credit too, just being receptive to all the coaching, but also learning from the other guys. And I think I don't know how you guys see it, but the way I see it and seeing it on a daily basis, I think he's light years ahead of where he was a year ago. And so I think if you asked our guys in that locker room, every one of them would tell you they got a lot of confidence in him. And I think that we would all agree in that locker room that he's one of the most improved guys over the last year.
Was there a moment this offseason or even in camp, when was the moment that you saw that you saw it click with him and you realized he was light years ahead?
Yeah, I think a couple weeks ago we started seeing him string a couple practices, and that consistency started to show up more and more. But I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Anybody jump out to you on defense tonight?
Yeah, a lot of guys did, but Abernathy made a heck of a play. There was some. I thought Isaiah McDuffie seemed like he was flying around, but I got to go back and really dissect the tape and look at it, and I can give you a better answer later on. KT, I thought he was competitive. I thought Sherm was super competitive. I know he got called for the PI. I thought that was, I love that aggressive play by him. I thought that was great. I couldn't tell. You guys might have a better opinion of it than I do. What were you saying?
I thought it was a tough call.
Yeah, it was. That's how I felt live. But that is a lot of those calls are tough, and I don't envy being in the official's position for a lot of it.
What has been the biggest difference with Isaiah McDuffie from last year to this year when you're talking about like most improved players?
Yeah, no, he's done a hell of a job, and it's just, I think, knowledge of the game. I think he's really grown. I think Kirk Olivadotti does a great job with him, and he's got, a guy like Devondre Campbell. I think KB is a big reason why he's been able to, grow so much in a short period of time. And then, I think you definitely feel his presence on teams, and that's what we need from him.
Now, given what preseason has become, I know as a coach you always want more, but have you gotten what you were hoping for out of these first 2 games in terms of stuff to evaluate or seeing improvement from guys? Or I'm just wondering kind of if you get a feel, because you're not obviously playing your starting line guys, to have an idea of what you might have in September 11th.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's always tough to say if you're really getting exactly everything you need, and especially when your guys aren't out there. But it's just one of those, is the risk worth the reward type deals. And I don't think there's a perfect answer. Everybody has their own philosophy, and I think with whatever you choose, you just stick by that, and you're confident in that, and hopefully you get the reps in practice. That's why I thought this week was so beneficial going against the Saints, a team that I know we all have a lot of respect for. Obviously, they whipped us pretty good last year, but they got great players, a great coaching staff, a great scheme. And so I thought it was a really good test for us, and to see our guys respond, not only just, by going out there and executing, but being physical. I think that's one thing that we're always looking for is how physical we're going to be, and they got some dogs on that team in every phase.
2 more, please.
Matt, I want to finish on a high note for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
When did you know Danny Etling could run like that? And did he fashion any thought?
Well, he is a guy that I know in New England, he actually played on special teams, and we were making fun of him. He played, I think, in a preseason game in Detroit, and we pulled up the tape actually in the quarterback room just to see how he did. And for a guy that didn't have much experience at all, he's definitely an athletic guy. And for a quarterback even to be placed in that position, I think that says a lot about just not only his athleticism, but his toughness as well. And like I said, he is just a great person, first and foremost. He's a hell of a worker. I don't know if you guys see him every day after practice. He's out there, throwing to some of our equipment managers and getting guys in the right spot, because you don't get the reps that you need. And so he loves this. He loves it. He is fully invested, fully committed to be the best player he can be. And it's tough. That is always a tough position when you're the third guy, because you just don't get the reps that you really need in practice to develop. So you have to do a lot of things on your own. And he takes the initiative, and he's got a great mind. He always asks great questions, and he's just really fun to be around.
Hey, man, how have you divided up the play calling duties through the first 2 games? And if Aaron doesn't play, would you let him call some next week?
Sure, I asked him tonight if he wanted to call some. No, so the last 2 games, I called the first half, and Steno called the second half, and I think Adam's done a great job. I think it's the first time I ever called him Adam, but Steno's done a great job. He is a guy that obviously we know his value as an offensive line coach. I think that's pretty clear. That's pretty evident. He's well respected around this league, but I think what you don't see, and naturally, I think the pass game for guys in that room it's a little foreign for him, but just the amount of work that he's put in and how much he's learned, I've been really, really impressed. And he's added a ton of value to us in terms of suggestions and questions, and I think he's doing a hell of a job.
Did Aaron really say he didn't want to call plays?
No, he didn't say that. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, have a good night.